Stingray, welcome to the program.
Hey, Hail State. How y'all doing?
Well, my first question is, where did the name Stingray come from?
Well, my name is Stephen Ray, so it's kind of catchy. And when I was a lot younger, I used to live down in Orange Beach during the summer, and so that's what the nickname came from, my friends down there in Orange Beach.
And it just stuck?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we're out of Tuscaloosa. I understand you used to live in Tuscaloosa?
I still do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's it like living around all these Crimson Tide fans when you're Hail State?
Well, it's all right. You know, Alabama fans are okay. I mean, you have good and bad fans, you know, everywhere. So I have a lot of great Alabama friends, and they're okay.
Yeah. Now, tell me the origin story of where your love for Mississippi State came from.
Okay, middle school, high school, all during that time, wanted to go into meteorology. Love everything about the weather. So junior year of high school, went over to Mississippi State, toured the campus, absolutely fell in love with it, the Southern hospitality, the uniqueness, the cowbell and everything, and it just stuck. Then some family issues came up that prevented me from going to Mississippi State, so I stayed at home in Tuscaloosa and got my broadcast news degree at the University of Alabama. So I am an Alabama alum.
How's that on game day? You're all maroon and white, right?
Yes, absolutely. Now let me say, for the record, living in Tuscaloosa, I would pretty much be an idiot to say I hate Alabama. So I do support Alabama, absolutely. Just when it comes to Mississippi State, Alabama, dogs all the way.
Now, you kind of broke on the scene a couple years ago with your rants on
Yes.
Paul Feinbaum's show. What was the inspiration to start doing that?
Well, when Paul Feinbaum signed on the SEC network, he basically said, we want you guys, the fans, to pretty much, we're going to start something new called Video Rants, and we would love to get a guy or a person that represents each university in the SEC. So I thought, well, Phyllis, Alabama, Tammy, Charles, Auburn, Darrell, Georgia, nobody's representing Mississippi State. I have a broadcast news degree in sports broadcasting. I love Mississippi State. Why not let me be the voice of Mississippi State on the Feinbaum show? Went and did my first rant for the LSU game, the game that we actually went down there and shocked LSU. He didn't show it, and, you know, I guess not, because we hadn't beaten LSU in quite a while. So came back the next week, did one for Texas A&M. He finally showed it, and Stingray was born.
Do you remember what that first video was and what it contained?
Yeah, the first video was just, you know, statistics of, you know, why we're going to beat LSU. And then, of course, I said on camera, Mississippi State will shock the world in Tiger Stadium and under the lights. Mississippi State's going down there, and we're going to beat LSU. Hail State! And I rang the bell, and I'm sure Paul Feinbaum goes, this guy's a nut. They're not going to beat LSU at Tiger Stadium at night. What did Mississippi State do? Went down there and just absolutely creamed them. And Stingray was born because of that moment.
Now, how many videos, how many rants have you done? Do you know?
Let's see. I would say somewhere between 18 and 20.
Are they all on YouTube?
Yes, every one of them's on YouTube. Plus, I was actually interviewed by Paul Feinbaum last year when he came to Tuscaloosa for the Tennessee game. That's on there on my YouTube channel. And then, of course, interviews with the Lockamy brothers and other stuff like that. Yeah. So it's all based around Stingray. I've got my own channel, and you can find it at Mississippi State Stingray.
Talking to Stingray, the Mississippi State Bulldogs superfan, that you've undoubtedly seen his videos. Have you gotten to meet? I mean, you're kind of now synonymous with Mississippi State. People know that your fandom. Did Dan Mullen or Mississippi State ever reach out to you? And have you met those?
I've met Dan Mullen. I've met Chad Bumpus, former Mississippi State player. I've met some of the beat writers for Mississippi State, and of course the play-by-play guys for Mississippi State, Matt Wyatt, and then of course Jim Ellis.
talking to Stingray, the Mississippi State superfan who you've seen on his rant videos.
And then of course, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've also met Scott Strickland too. Okay. I can't leave him out.
The athletic director at Mississippi State. One of the things I like and kind of admire about you, Stingray, is you don't let the negative people get you down. There are so many negative people in this world who want to make fun of other people to make themselves feel better or for whatever reason.
Right.
It really hasn't stopped you. You continue to make videos and you don't let those negative people get you down.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, I just focus on the positive because on Twitter I have I think it's close to 6,000 followers now, and on my Facebook page I've hit my 5,000 limit. And so the majority of those fans and followers are basically love Stingray. And anybody that doesn't or says anything derogatory, the best thing on social media is the block button.
Okay, now I've blocked a few people.
Yeah, so absolutely, that's the best thing about it, and just focus on the positive, and that's pretty much it. I learned a long time ago that the people who cut you down and make fun of you are the people who don't have, I guess you could say, the cojones. I'm going to try to use a PG rating for radio, but they don't have it to basically do what I'm doing, and they are pretty much jealous because they want to be the guy that I am. Yeah.
Now, people that you mentioned, you've already hit your max for likes on Facebook, 5,000 people. The typical response that you get from a Mississippi State fan, what are they telling you?
Love your videos, keep it up. You know, we respect you, and you're a great fan and represent the SEC well.
Now, I imagine that the most negative people you deal with are probably Ole Miss fans.
And some Alabama.
Alabama, too?
Yes.
Be better than Alabama. This young man lives in Tuscaloosa. What kind of stuff did the Ole Miss people get after you for?
Basically calling them out, and we're going to beat you, and, talking about my weight. But, I'm dropping weight right now, so I'm losing weight. So maybe, hopefully, a little bit later on, that won't be an issue. But, it's just stuff like that, just the bitterness of the rivalry. You're going to have people that love you and hate you and all that stuff.
Talking to Stingray, Mississippi State superfan, where do you get your inspiration for your videos? Do you write the script ahead of time, or you just turn on the camera and say whatever comes to mind?
Whatever comes to mind. Now, of course, I will get my statistics, like Dak did this in a game, or Mississippi State's won like this many games in a row. But as far as writing out a script of, what I'm going to say when, I just get in front of the camera, turn it on, and the rants happen. It just flows instantly.
Now, I got to ask you, it's been the talk of today, and I'm sure a lot of talk in Mississippi. You've heard a lot of the negative talk. What are your thoughts on Mississippi State and Dan Mullen and Scott Strickland taking Jeffrey Simmons, and should he be on your campus?
I think he should, because I'm all about second chances. I don't think the punishment was correct for him. I can understand why you would not suspend him for the entire season, because if you do that, he's going to transfer, and Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Auburn going to pick him up, just instantly. But what I would have done if I was, Scott Strickland or Dan Mullen, would have said, okay, well, if we're going to do one game suspension, let it be South Carolina, let it be LSU, let it be at least a conference game where he's going to be on the field, because South Alabama, is so outmanned coming into Starkville, you're probably not going to see the field. But I would have said either do that with an SEC game or do a 4-game suspension.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
A minimum of 4.
If you're calling the shots at Mississippi State, what was the sufficient punishment in your mind?
4 games. That's it, yeah. Because people would have said half the season, and then you'd have to worry about, burning the red shirt and all that stuff. So I think a minimum of 4 games, or at least one big SEC game.
Wrapping up here with Stingray, Mississippi State superfan, I got to ask you. Okay. And I'm sure it's been on the question posed to Dan Mullen the most. How do you replace the best quarterback in school history in Dak Prescott?
You don't replace him. You just try to continue on. Dak was one of the best players to ever wear a Mississippi State uniform so far in history. And I think Demolin is going to try and do some unique things to try to mimic Dak Prescott, but as far as him being a Dak, I mean, it's just like Auburn. You can't replace a Cam. Just like Alabama, you can't replace a Mark Ingram or a Derrick Henry.
I can't let you get out of here without asking you to give us a ring of the cowbell.
Absolutely.